In this Extra Life video, I'm going to be talking about my hands-on impressions with the new update for Titan Quest 2. It got a new update just today. I've been playing it over the last week or so, though, in early access thanks to THQ Nordic. They gave me a key, so I was able to check it out a bit early, so I've been doing that off and on over the last week. But you will be able to play the Northern Beaches area of the game as of now, and this is the second chapter of Titan Quest 2. Which adds about 5 to 6 hours of new content in my estimation. That's a pretty rough estimation. It can take you as fast as like 2 hours to just blitz through it, or you can take longer depending on how much exploration and side quests that you do, etc. So the second chapter of the game, the Northern Beaches, is a direct continuation of the first area of the game, and where the first early access portion ends currently, now you'll be able to continue on to the next area in Chapter 2. And it looks a lot like the previous zone, in my opinion, so far. There are some areas that look a little bit different in it, but generally speaking, it's very, very similar in appearance. And I kind of wish that it had been a bit different. Like, it doesn't stay that way. As you explore further in the zone, it does look more and more different. But I don't know if it's different enough. Compared to the first Titan Quest, where Act 1 was Greece, and the second act was Egypt, you don't have that crazy disparity here. It's more of Greece in that sense. So I'm curious to see if this whole game is going to take place in Greece. Seems like it will from just the way the story is shaping up. And I don't know what that means for environmental diversity. I think I'm going to be really disappointed if we don't see more diversity than what we're seeing already. But obviously it's still early in early access, so you can't make such a claim just yet. There are a couple new bosses in this zone, and you do get to see a little bit more of the story unfold, as I mentioned. I do really love the story and voice acting of this game. The setting, story, voice acting, music is probably the biggest highlights of the game for me so far, which is strange to say in an ARPG. Typically, it's the gameplay, but I feel like Titan Quest 2's gameplay is lagging behind some of these other elements so far. It really has the look and feel of Titan Quest 2, but I don't think it's quite there in terms of gameplay. And another thing I noticed that kind of reiterates this point that I'm making about the gameplay not being quite there is the enemy variety in the second zone is quite similar to what you saw in the first zone. There are later in the zone some new enemy types. They do definitely have new enemy types in the zone, but you will be facing more or less the same enemy types that you had in the first zone. And I don't think Titan Quest in general, the first game, ever had like a huge variety of enemy types, but the different chapters had definitely distinct different enemy types. And I think if we don't see more enemy variety moving forward, that's going to be a little bit concerning as well. And in terms of mechanics, I can't tell if there have been any substantial mechanical changes to the game. I was looking through the patch notes that the devs put out. Looks like there have been some balancing changes to certain skills like ice shards, etc., that I think everyone sort of anticipated were coming. I'm playing with a lightning build here. You can see it's doing just fine. And I didn't really mess around with ice shards that much. But you will notice that the last tier of abilities is unlocked for each class now. Or each mastery has tier 4. So you can check out what the tier 4 abilities for each one and continue to play with those. As far as itemization goes, they've made some minor changes to a couple of the way things work in terms of stats. And they are aware that there is itemization issues in this game. That's definitely in their patch notes that they're aware of working on this. Most of the changes that they're going to make to itemization didn't occur in this patch, though. So you're still going to see the same issues with itemization. I basically played through the whole of Chapter 2 and didn't change a single item, maybe like one piece of armor on my whole build the whole time. The itemization of this game needs like a massive overhaul, in my opinion. It's just so underwhelming. Every time you get a piece of gear, it just doesn't feel good compared to like the previous game. You would see these big increases when you got a unique item or a set piece, or if you got a like monster infrequent, or even sometimes rares would just kick you up like a big degree of survivability or damage, and you're just really not feeling that in this game. So they are aware that those issues are, part of this game, and they are working on fixing that. But unfortunately, you won't see it in this update, so itemization continues to struggle a little bit. And the performance of the game is still rough around the edges, in my opinion. I'm getting somewhat regular stuttering in the game. Like, it doesn't seem like I'm dropping frames here and there. It just seems like every 10 to 15 seconds the game's stuttering. I'm not sure why that is. I didn't have the greatest performance playing the game on the previous version of Early Access either. I can't tell if it's like worse. It doesn't seem better. If it's worse, it's slightly worse. It may be the same. But I'm still having, in terms of performance, I'm having issues there. So I'm hoping this will continue to improve. I am playing on a beastly PC with a 4090, and I'm still having these issues, which I feel like I really, really shouldn't have in this game. But all in all, there's a little bit new content there. You could probably breeze through it in an evening if you're like a diehard fan. And, you know, there's definitely some more content for you to play if you're somebody who's played a lot of the game already, but it's not much, in my opinion. The couple bosses or 2 or 3 bosses that you can fight are going to go pretty quick. The game plays pretty quick through, and I think it's a good start in terms of what I would like to see from Titan Quest, but they definitely have to do a lot more. If every few months we're getting an update about this size, then I have serious concerns for this game at launch. But if this is just like getting their feet wet and the next update's going to be much bigger, or the update after that's going to be much larger, then I would be happy with that. I can't wait to see more masteries added through the game. That alone, just adding a mastery, will give you a reason to play through Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 again, so that's interesting. But I think most of the work needs to come from the itemization of the game, so hopefully that makes it into the next update. I want to hear from you guys. Are you guys going to be playing this update that's out now? You can play the new version of Early Access with Chapter 2. What do you make of what I've had to say so far? If you've played it and you're coming to this video, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments below.
I